Hello Electroheads! It's -2 degrees, but who cares? That doesn't stop us because today I am doing a Brompton review. You guys asked for it and so I am gonna deliver. But I thought I'd mix things up a little bit by doing a comparison video with a slightly more affordable, wallet-friendly option. This guy over here, the Estarli e16.7. Which is it gonna be for you? Let's find out. First up, let's talk Brompton, a heritage, legend, brand of a name. Everybody knows them, everyone in the cycling world knows them, everyone who isn't in the cycling world knows them. They've been around since 1975, they've been reshaping generations of commuters and now they have moved into the new dawn of electric bikes. And this is the P line, this is the electric P line from Brompton and it comes at a price. Oh yes, a whopping £3,695. It's a lot of money, but I'm going to explain a little bit about perhaps why it might cost so much. I need to let go of this now to show you the next bike, but there's no stand, so I'm just going to lay it down, okay? Yes. Oh no, that's not good, is it? I should probably fold it up. Wait, no. Let's just cut to the next bike. Next up, the Estarli e16.7. This is another British brand. They've been around not as long as Brompton, but they still bring quality and style into the mix. Like I said, this is a cheaper alternative. A lot of people, especially if you are a first-time buyer of an electric bike, probably don't want to be forking out nearly £4,000 on a bike, understandable. So this is a great option for that, but they still bring quality and care into every bike that they make, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about it in this video today. Pricing for this comes in at £1,295. That is a third of the cost, 1, 2, 3 of the Brompton. Let's find out more. Like all UK road legal e-bikes, this Brompton packs a 250 watt motor with a max pedal assist reaching 15.5 miles per hour. The 300 watt hour battery delivers a range of between 20 to 45 miles and is removable. This becomes a signature feature to the Brompton's tiny folding dimensions, which we'll check out a little bit later. But you can control both the lights and 3 power modes via the buttons up top, or thanks to the quad lock setup that comes included. You can use the Brompton app as a handy dashboard. The Urban P line I have today with the battery weighs in at 15.6 kilograms and can take a rider weighing up to 110 kilograms, measuring between 4'7" and 6'8". It also comes with 4 gears, dual pivot caliper mechanical brakes, and don't forget those teensy tiny 16-inch wheels wrapped up in some of the best tyres in the business. If you're familiar with the Estarli, it's worth noting the e16.7 has had an upgrade with a more powerful inner rotor hub motor than its predecessors. It can produce up to 40 Newton meters of torque, and with a 259 watt-hour battery, Estarli gives a range claim of around 31 miles on one charge. It weighs in at just over 1 kilogram lighter than the Brompton at 14.5 kilograms and boasts a selection of 7 gears plus 5 levels of assist. The 16-inch wheels are also padded out with 2.15-inch balloon tyres to compensate for a lack of suspension. Max rider weight is 110 kilograms and rider height is 5 foot to 6'5", and don't forget the wicked colour options included. Orange is a vibe. We get a lot of electric bikes coming through our doors every single week, and so to really properly test them out and see what they're made of, we've come up with a bit of test criteria, a set of things that we like to look at to make sure they're as good or as bad as they may seem to be. So first up, I want to talk about the components and the build quality. This is the basic nuts and bolts of each bike. Is it made of the right stuff? So first up, Brompton, they've made a name for themselves for having these high quality bikes available to buy, and this continues in the electric P line. They have some ultra light, really smart bits of tech and kit that comes along with this bike. They've even developed their very own electric system, which has been developed by Williams Advanced Engineering. So you are getting some seriously bespoke kit in this bike. And bearing in mind, Brompton believe in their bikes so much that they give you a 7-year warranty. 7 years. I haven't come across that in any other electric bike brand, but they also give you 3 years warranty on the electrics as well. So if you buy one of these, I mean, there's a reason why you're paying a lot, but it sure as hell is probably gonna last you. Estarli here being at a lower price point means that they have less of the bespoke tech that you would get with the Brompton and more really well-known parts that you get across the e-bike industry. So you're looking at things like Shimano, very, very well-known brand. Lots of bikes use them and are very easy to source new parts. Test criteria number 2. What is the safety and security levels of the Brompton and Estarli? Well, first up with the Brompton, I have to say, I was mega impressed with how this handles over potholes, over speed bumps. The fact that this doesn't have suspension doesn't mean that you're going to be getting a to the groins every time you go over something. And it actually continues with the wheels as well. Yes, they're 16-inch wheels, which are smaller than what I would personally like, but for those who are looking for that smaller wheel size, it does feel a little bit twitchy because that is just what a 16-inch wheel is. However, I think it's got a lovely bit of comfort involved with the tyres that they've added to this bike. And as far as it goes with the smaller size wheel, this does give it a really good thumbs up. 15.5 miles per hour does feel like a good top speed for a wheel size and for a bike of this caliber. And also just finally, in terms of brakes, well, they are actually not as responsive as I actually thought they would be. However, I think there's a reason for this, and that is because when you do have a slightly smaller wheel, you don't want something that's gonna have such a sharp brake, because the moment that you pull on it a little bit too hard, you could actually be flying over the top. So I think Brompton have actually tuned the brakes really perfectly to what this is, and it gives ample breakage for any kind of situation that I've had in the city world. The e16.7 doesn't have suspension on it. Suspension, for one, makes a bike heavier, and two, it does also bump up the price a little bit. So remember, Estarli are trying to make a cheap and cheerful, affordable e-bike, so that's probably why they didn't put suspension in. What they have done, however, is they've given you chunkier tyres. They are much thicker than the Bromptons, and as you'll see, as I go over bumps and potholes, it does soak up that harder force that you get when rolling over some trickier terrain. Brakes, well, we're talking 160mm disc brakes, front and rear, which means that you're going to get a good stop when you need it. Are you ready? Oh, yeah, decent. I actually have been cycling this around, commuting back and forth from work to my house, and I've had some, as you do, some incidents on London roads where you've got to slam the brakes, and they have done it justice. And even though these little tiny wheels need a lot more time to get that stoppage going, those tyres really do just help you keep contact with the roads and just stop when you need it. I have to say, the motor on the Brompton, very, very punchy, very torquey. And speaking of torquey, the actual sensor itself is a torque sensor that is a high-end, high value piece of equipment. That means that when you pop your foot down on the pedal and you start to push it just that little bit, the sensor picks that up. It really does add a little bit of push when you add a bit of push. And if you want to go hard, then it will go hard with you. It's really, really smart, really enjoyable to ride. However, in saying that, because this thing is punchy, it seems to just be actually quite loud. So when you are on kind of quieter urban roads, you really can hear it coming, which probably isn't such a bad thing. So people can hear you behind, or if a pedestrian's trying to cross the road and they just need to hear that you're coming, that is a safety feature in my eyes, actually. But of course, if you are on busier city roads, then the sound of the motor really does just blend into the background, like now. For a bike that is so teeny tiny, the motor really does give it some oomph. And the 3 modes of assist, it doesn't actually sound like much, but it works a charm. I'm on 1 right now, it's giving me a lovely background push, and if I pop it up to 3, it really does give you a wallop when you're trying to get off at the traffic lights. So just tweak it to your needs. I am really impressed with Brompton. Super, super impressed. If you're a regular to the channel, you will be familiar with the E20 review that I did. Basically, it's this wheel with 20-inch wheels, and it was awesome to see the comments down below of people who'd actually purchased an E20 and were raving about how great it was and how much they loved it. So if you aren't sure about the E20 or the E16, I would actually just say, go and do a test ride, super important. But let me tell you a quick few things about what I found with the performance and the handling of this one. So I would say, first up, 5 levels of assist, exactly what you need. That level 5 assist is really punchy. I'm so impressed. These little things, they're teensy tiny, but it doesn't mean that they haven't got the power. I was able to zoom along at 15.5 miles per hour on some straight roads in London, and to be honest, 15.5 actually is like the max in terms of speed that you want to do on these, because the smaller wheel does make you kind of a little bit more twitchy in how you ride. I've actually noticed I kind of jut about a little bit more when I'm reacting to certain situations on the road, and 15.5 is the max speed that you want to be doing. The levels of assist are great. One thing I would say with the gearing is I wish that there were just a few more gears that I could go higher or lower, you know, the lower, higher. More gears would have been great with this one when you're at a top speed, but all in all, it works well. I would say as well, when it comes to hills, on the steeper inclines, I did find this one struggled just a little bit with keeping that max 15.5 mile per hour speed limit. I was getting about 12 miles per hour. If you have stronger legs than me, which you probably do, you probably could push it up to 15.5, but that is just something that I noticed. Maybe the motor needs a little bit more power when it comes to hills. But I would say if you are somebody who lives in much hillier terrain, maybe just give this a test ride and see if it's the right bike for you. Next test criteria is comfort and practicality. Is it ergonomically comfortable? And is it practical? Is it easy to pick up and fold up and store away in your office? I'm going to tell you more. So first up, comfort on the Brompton. I haven't had as much experience with 16-inch wheels, and I was ready to kind of hate it, but I've really enjoyed riding this. There's something about it that's just so simple to get on board with. And you can see here that they've set up the brakes a little bit differently, the way that you have to kind of tilt your wrists and your hands forward to be able to reach the brake levers. Again, when I first saw this, I thought, what on earth? Is that comfortable? It is really comfortable. That is something you can change though, which is what's really nice about the Brompton line as well. You can shift this as you need, and also you can purchase either this higher handlebar that I have here or a more flatter bar as well. So you can customize on what kind of setup you would like to suit your needs perfectly. As for practicality, in terms of riding, well, there's nothing quite like having a shorter handlebar width, meaning that you can get through tight little bits of traffic to make your commute so much quicker and stress-free. But when we're talking about the lifting and the folding up element, well, let's head back and see how easy it really is. All right, well, the Brompton name is known for how easily and quickly you can fold a bike. So let me show that to you now. I have to say, it was definitely a learning curve, learning how to fold this bike. But once you get the knack, oh, you get it. Okay, so first up, let's take off the battery. I'm gonna fold the back up. There's a little lever here. Whoops, like so. Then fold the main frame in half. You want to swing it round like so. There it is, boosh. And then handlebars down. And there's a nice, neat little latch here that pops into. And what you can do as well is you can pop down the seat post, which locks in the folding nice and tight so it doesn't come loose, so that you can wheel it around. Can't really do it on the cobbles. And you can lift it up.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
Oh, I don't think I did it down low enough. Let's try that again. Take two. I felt the lock there. Right. Okay, let's take it up the stairs.
Get the battery.
Oh, don't forget the battery.
Are you dumb?
That's a very expensive part of your bike. I do have to say though, just in terms of the battery being removable, great. It looks a bit pants though, doesn't it? It looks like your dad's satchel. This kind of design, I don't think has been made for the younger generation in mind. That's fine. Brompton clearly maybe aren't making for that clientele, but if I could change things, I'd make this just look a bit cooler. Comfort with the Estarli e16.7, very, very similar to the Brompton. The touch points are very similar. I mean, this is just your kind of standard setup of a 16-inch wheel folder bike. So there's nothing starkly different between the Brompton and the e16. The one thing I would say, however, though, is the saddle. So the saddle was a little bit more comfy on the Brompton. I personally would switch this one out, and that's what I do with a lot of the bikes that I get here at Electroheads. I've done it with the Seago 600 10 ways. I've also done it with the Estarli e28 as well. Loads of bikes I get in, I change up the saddle, and I think it's just, in terms of gender really, the guys have ridden this bike and said that it's fine for them. So totally just depends on your needs, but it's something that's really, really easy to fix. In terms of practicality, this bike is as practical as it gets. It doesn't fold up as small as the Brompton. However, this is a folder, it is lightweight, which means taking it up and down stairs and in and out of your house is easy peasy. So I'm actually gonna head over to a different space. We're gonna take it indoors. I'm gonna show you how easy it is to fold it down and take it up and down the stairs. Let's see how compact this little guy gets. Now, first up, obviously, this has a kickstand. Much better than the Brompton. Brompton have clearly missed out on a very crucial feature. Small detail that is very important, so you can be hands-free. Anyway, let's start by folding this up. So actually, I want to show you the best way to fold this if you want to carry the Estarli e16. So, sorry about all the angle grinding, by the way. So you want to pop the handlebar down as much as possible and then fold it like so. And Estarli actually recommends this is the best way to lift and walk and carry because the weight is evenly distributed and it makes it really, really easy to lift and walk around. So I'm going to take up the steps. Easy peasy, 14.5 kg. But let me now show you how it looks fully folded. Just going to loosen this up, make sure the pedals are halfway, and let's see if I can do this in one swing. Yes! There we go. Just make sure the magnet's together, and that is the size of your Estarli folded up. Pretty compact for storage. Finally, are these e-bikes value for money? Well, I can certainly say, having ridden both these two fairly extensively, I think for the price point that they're both at, they really do stand out as really fantastic choices. The Brompton is designed to be the kind of ride that is built for the city, for work, for play, commuting. This bike has everything that you need. It's got the comfort, it's got the practicality, and it's got all that incredible bespoke equipment and mechanisms that you just don't get for the price point of something like the Estarli. If you have the cash to burn, if you've got the money to spare, I would recommend Brompton because you do also get 7 years warranty with this bike and 3 years on the electrics for warranty as well. So your money, although you're spending a lot, it is stretching way further than it could with, say, maybe the Estarli. For example, 2-year warranty, which is also great, by the way. 2 year is very, very standard for e-bikes. You're paying a third of the price for this, and what you're getting is actually pretty similar to the Brompton, genuinely, in terms of the sort of the ride style, in terms of what it can do. It is very similar at a fraction of the cost, and let's be real, I think it looks a lot better as well. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you've noticed, I've found a makeshift kickstand. The battery. So yeah, overall, value for money, I think you are getting very, very good options for different price points here. So it really does come down to what you can afford and what you'd be willing to spend your money on. Overall thoughts? Big fan of these guys. Although they are 16-inch wheels, which personally is something that I'm not massively for, just because I like a bigger, sturdier bike, I have to say I've been really impressed with the capabilities of both these two. The Estarli has really stood out to me as well because, like I said, for it being just over £1,000, it really does offer a lot that a very, very expensive bike can bring as well. But now I want to hear your thoughts. Which of these bikes would you choose with everything I've spoken about in mind? I would love to hear what you have to say. Get it in the comments down below. Do not forget to like this video if it's been any use to you at all, and please do subscribe as well because it makes me very happy. All right guys, see you soon.